I am Dini Kennedy. Nigerian electricity consumers urge government to find means of ensuring stable power supply. Former Zambia president's son arrested for corruption. 5 Mississippi sheriffs accused of abusing men fired. The federal government of Nigeria has been urged to impress it upon the electricity distribution companies not to increase electricity tariff. This formed the aggregate opinion of public affairs analysts including Dr. Soji Akepelu, Alhaji Muftawa Adeleke, as well as Mr. Michael Odeyemi, who phoned in during a phone-in program on OSBC 104.5 FM. The analyst submitted that in view of the prevailing economic challenges, increasing the electricity tariff is tantamount to adding more hardship for Nigerians. They therefore appealed to the federal government to devise means of ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians, as well as ensuring a stable power supply across the country. Still on events in Nigeria, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission says it remained undoubted in its prosecution of a former registrar of Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Professor Dibu Ojeride. The ICPC, which is prosecuting Professor Ojeride for alleged 5 billion naira fraud, alleged in a statement that the Don used several false names and forged means of identification to perpetrate its corrupt practices through various bank accounts and still retains the resources and influence to evade justice. The ICPC also rejected a recent ruling of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which ordered it to pay Professor Ojeride 1 million naira damages over his rearrest on January 26th on the court premises. It will be recalled that Justice Obiora Egwe-Atu, ruling on a fundamental rights suit filed by Professor Ojeride, had declared that the rearrest and continued detention of the jammed ex-man was illegal, holding that ICPC violated Professor Ojeride's rights to personal liberty. In a statement by its spokesperson Azuka Ogugwa, the ICPC rejected the ruling, declaring that it was going to challenge it at the Court of Appeal. The ICPC contended that Professor Ojeride's rearrest was based on a warrant issued by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. The Zambian police have arrested a son of former President Edgar Lungu and his daughter-in-law on suspicion of money laundering and unlawful possession of property. According to the report, the ex-president's son is suspected of stealing more than $5 million in criminal proceeds. Police spokesperson Rahi Amunga told newsmen that the 36-year-old former president's son, Dalitso Lungu, and his wife, Matinda Lungu, were arrested in their capacity as directors of Solar Traders Limited. He said they were accused of owning 69 vehicles and other properties believed to have been proceeds of crime. The police spokesperson stressed that in charged for the offense of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act of 2010 of Zambia. A security guard and a gunman were killed in an exchange of fire in front of U.S. consulate in the Saudi coastal city of Jeddah. The State Department said no Americans were harmed in the shooting outside the consulate, which was put under lockdown. The State Department said that Saudi forces killed assailant and that the United States is in touch with the kingdom as it starts an investigation. The consulate was appropriately locked down and no Americans were harmed in the attack. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Voice of the West, Nigeria. Now a mid-news message. As adherents of Islamic faith are basking in the furor of Eid al-Kabir, let moderation be your watchword. 5 Mississippi deputy sheriffs alleged to have been involved in the assault of 2 black men have been fired. Information has it that the black men accused the country's sheriff department officers of entering a home without a warrant in January. They alleged that the officers assaulted them and shot one of them in the mouth. Attorneys for the black men have called for charges against the officers. Speaking at a news conference, their attorneys and relatives said the fact that the 5 officers were no longer with the department was a sign of progress, but that more needs to be done. Rankin County Sheriff Leader Mr. Brian Bali has announced that the officers involved in the encounter have terminated their job last week following findings from an internal investigation. He said the officers, whose name he declined to provide, had previously been placed on administrative leave. The ranking county sheriff department later told journalists that some of the 5 deputies involved in the incident had already resigned before the announcement and the remaining ones fired. It will be recalled that the 2 black men, Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Parker, have filed a federal civil rights lawsuit seeking for $100 million in damages. A professor and 2 students were stabbed during a gender studies class at the University of Waterloo in Canada, while 1 person is in custody. Waterloo Regional Police spokesperson Mr. Cherry Grino told newsmen that the suspect, who has not been identified, was found inside the same building and quickly taken into custody. He stressed that it's unknown what motivated the attack. The stabbings, which took place at the university's Hague Hall, prompted the university authorities to issue order to vacate the building and shelter-in-place order as police responded to the scene. In a related development, a man who fatally shot 3 women he accused of running his career has been sentenced to life imprisonment in France. The 48-year-old Mr. Gabriel Fortin was given maximum sentence for murder and attempted murder by a court in the city of Valence. This means Mr. Fortin will spend up to 22 years behind the bars. Mr. Fortin, who was double the killer, was arrested in 2021, days after the women were shot dead. Speaking to reporters, the sole survivor of the attacks, Mr. Bertrand Michael, was also present at the court and questioned the length of time Mr. Fortin would spend behind the bars. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. Public affairs commentators on a radio program in Osun State have called on the Nigerian government to devise means of ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians as well as ensuring a stable power supply across the country. Police have arrested the son of former President Edgar Lungu and his daughter-in-law on suspicion of money laundering and unlawful possession of property. 5 Mississippi deputy sheriffs alleged to have been involved in the assault of 2 black men have been fired. That was the world at noon, edited by Olushola Egbodofo and delivered by Adeniyi Kende. News Talk Today admonishes Muslims to hold fast on other tenets and pillars of Islam that are routine after the annual celebration of Eid al-Kabir. It is written by Oluwatoyin Yusuf of OSBC Television News.
Eid al-Kabir celebration continues today and ends on Friday. This means Muslims who could not slaughter rams yesterday have the opportunities to do so today and tomorrow. By Friday, celebration of Eid al-Adha ends, but Islam remains. It is unfortunate that some Muslims see Islam from the viewpoint of slaughtering rams, while others do not see Islam beyond going on Hajj and its glamour, particularly fixing gold teeth. 5 daily prayers are the hallmark of Muslims, and a Muslim who pays a lip service to the observation of these prayers is gradually slipping away from Islam. The weekly Jummah prayer is equally important as it brings Muslims from the neighborhoods together. Conscious, not ceremonial Muslims hold tenaciously to observance of Jummah prayers for Allah, so emphasizes its importance that it dedicates a chapter to it. Another act which draws one closer to Allah is charity, giving to the needy, particularly orphans, widows, the aged, the sick, and those who have suddenly lost their means of livelihood. Islam stresses significance of kind-heartedness as encapsulated in Quran chapter 2 verse 177 and chapter 16 verse 71. Giving to the less privileged is our daily act of favor before Allah. Yesterday, prayer grounds were full of some Muslims whose main focus in Islam is ceremony anchored on slaughtering of rams. Some even wiped away the rewards attached to the worship by taking alcohols or by using hard drinks to entertain guests. Now, Hajj rites continue today as the second day of the symbolic stoning of the devil, which ends tomorrow, after which the pilgrims will return to Mecca from Mina. Nostalk encourages those of us at home to keep praying for their safe return instead of embodying them with earthly requests of gifts or clothes or trinkets. We have to know that the most important lesson of Eid al-Kabir is endurance. Prophets Ibrahim and Ismail endured to carry out Allah's instructions, which culminated in what we are celebrating today. News Talk appeals to the people of Osun State to rally support for the current administration and endure any inconvenience its infrastructural drive may bring as we need steps towards success in Spain. The government has assured the drive will get to all parts of the state. We equally call on Nigerians to endure the policies being introduced by the new federal government in an attempt to right past wrongs, just as it calls on the government to ensure that the policies and reforms come with a human face. News Talk ends by calling on workers and students to return to work and school tomorrow as the federal government declared holiday expires.
That News Talk by Oluwatoyin Yusuf of OSBC Television News implored Muslims to hold fast on other tenets and pillars of Islam that are routine after the annual celebration of Eid al-Kabir. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.